In the first 6 months, we almost generated $1 million revenue.
Should be a unicorn valuation.
Yeah, let's not pushing, let's be straightforward.
You're one of the most promising companies, probably.
I think that's one of our superpowers.
I will tell you a secret.
We lost, I would say, it was 50% or 60% overnight.
Is there any kind of mental trick to cope with that?
Fail, but fail fast, learn fast.
What I'm trying to understand is what industry that you're disrupting.
The biggest learning I had is as an entrepreneur.
Richard Fischer, welcome to What's in Store Show.
Thank you for having me.
How's it going?
Good so far. What about you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, thank you. We have been talking before. We should have thought the recording maybe a bit earlier even. We met each other in the last funding round of Workerhero, if I don't remember. Yes, through 10X. Before going to Workerhero and getting into all the specific of why the company is so interesting and the market that you're operating in is so interesting, let's go back to the little Richard in the Hauptschule. Just a little bit to understand your background, because you work quite some years at Amazon.
Yeah.
And actually, even before, I wanted to understand this move. You were a salesman in a company. I forgot the name of the company. It was HSP or something like that. At least that was the logo. You were there, and then you started into Amazon. Is that
exactly?
That was
after my studies, so I completed business administration. So I initially thought I'm gonna become an audit manager. So I started taxes.
Even your thesis was super specific in taxes.
Yeah.
I was reading the thesis. I was like, damn, man, this is super related to taxes.
Yeah, exactly. So I started tax. Then I figured out it's not for me the right thing. Let's say it that way. So just looking at laws and numbers the whole day is not my thing. And that's how a friend of mine was working at Amazon. And he introduced me to my mentor, Florian, who is also one of my business angels and still supporting me. And I started in his department at Amazon Business. And then the whole story started at Amazon. That's how I came to Amazon.
So it was like a private network, a warm reference from a friend.
Exactly. I even was not aware that Amazon is even in Munich, to be honest.
Wow.
And everyone knows Amazon, but I never thought that they have an office after my study.
Yeah.
Back then, now I know they have a huge office and a lot of people. But back then, due to the fact that I was more in the taxation side, I was looking at the classic big fours and so on. So this is the point. So in e-commerce or this whole technology companies was not on my radar because I thought my way is more in the classic, maybe to the city Munich or maybe to the consultancies and so on. And then after doing the job, I started to look in different direction because I thought okay, I need more action, and more innovation and change.
And it was around 2016 when you joined Amazon.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, you get through this warm connection. And how did you find it? How was the atmosphere when you got there?
I think it was one of the best time of my life, to be honest, because I know what people are saying about Amazon. I totally get it. But for me personally, it was a really, really nice experience. They invested a lot in me. They provide me a lot of opportunity to grow. They showed me how to scale up, how to manage things. So I had also the possibility to get promoted pretty fast, almost every year or second year. So I think what I really like about Amazon is that they value if you deliver results. So and if I compare it to classic companies in Germany, then it's often discussions about how old are you, how long do you belong to the company. You have to wait X years till you can become a manager and so on. And that's what I really like about US companies. They don't look at stuff like that. They're more looking hey, how do you perform? What is your drive? What are your capabilities to learn new things and so on? And this is what I found at Amazon and what I really appreciated and what I also try to copy in my company.
That's good. Yeah. Which even could drive to a more fair society, I think. We can discuss about the implications then of extra working effort-driven cultures.
Yeah.
But that's a different
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely. For sure.
But what were you doing exactly at Amazon?
So I started first of all in sales, so as an account executive at Amazon Business. That was like the B2B side of Amazon, where you shop. They also launched like a B2B side, Amazon Business, which is like targeting companies to push over the whole supply chain of like IT stuff and so on.
We're clients of Amazon Business,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly. So this is what. So I was, I think, employee number 4 in Germany for Amazon Business, like for that side. And then I moved over. So I think back then my boss also like figured out pretty fast that okay, Richard is not the typical sales guy. I'm good at sales, but I think I'm even better in analyzing sales and like trying to understand how to improve in sales. So more on a manager or sales operations side. So I moved over to the sales operations side, and then I was leading the sales operations side at Amazon Business. Spent quite some time. And then I thought like, and that's also what I really loved about Amazon is like the possibilities of job rotation. I mean, in other companies, you always have like to have the right degree or right experience in order to change the job. And there, no one cares about if you have the right experience. It's more about if you are able to learn pretty fast and if you are able to deliver results and if you are self-driven to learn new things. And that's why then I moved over to AWS, which is like from e-commerce to cloud, complete new world. I never had contact before with cloud solutions and IT. And then I started there in the sales operation side and was able to work with the GM directly of AWS back then. Nice. So I learned there a lot about sales organizations, about also cloud infrastructures and so on. So that was quite nice. And then I was there also leading the sales operations side. Nice. And then after that, I moved over to Amazon Logistics. So completely new world, logistics, last mile, middle mile. So new world, never had any experience in that sector. And there I was taking over the value-added services department, which is like responsible to create products or to create innovations or to improve them, which makes sure that Amazon Logistics is growing. And there I had a project which was, hey, we have to hire X amount of employees and we need a scalable solution. And I started then to look into the market. I was spending money into job boards because I thought like, yeah, I talked to Stepstone, Indeed, and then everything is working. But in fact, it was not the case. So I failed quite often. And there I started to look really deep and understand. And then I figured out like, okay, we are missing within Europe or even US, like a platform which is focused on blue and gray color recruiting next to like a classic job portal, which is like this post and pray approach. And this is something what we then figured out, and then the whole journey started.
Awesome. Super interesting. Because to frame it, I think you stayed like 3 years in your first position, then 1 year in AWS, then another year or year and a half in logistics. It's very clear then how you find this last case. And now let's link it already with Workerhero. You already said it because the problem is actually what Workerhero solves. Yeah. But can you explain a little bit, even in detail, what Workerhero does?
So Workerhero is a specialized platform in blue and gray color recruiting. You can imagine it I always do the comparison because then it's easier to understand. We are trying to build a kind of like LinkedIn, but for blue and gray color worker, but without the whole social components because the target group is not interested in that. But they are looking like what we help them is like to have a digital profile, to sell themselves, to have transparency on the job opportunities, transparency on the companies, and so on. And then at the end, we have like the profile of the person, the profile of the job on the company, and then we can match them and really have a 10x better hiring rate compared to a job portal, for example.
That's perfectly explained. Just in case someone else doesn't get the full idea, can you explain what the blue color and the gray color is?
Sure. So for us, it's like blue and gray color jobs are everything from a production person up to an electrician with a completed apprenticeship. So no, we are not focusing academic people from university and so on, because white collar, I think we have LinkedIn, a great portal where everyone can sell themselves and so on, but it's not the right platform for a blue and gray color. You will not find a high number of those
Yeah,
people
true. Yeah.
on LinkedIn. Because I mean, when we look at LinkedIn, what happened? Everyone is talking about the next mountain they're climbing up, or what kind of boat they have, and whatever. I think
You have a weird feet,
yeah,
but
but
okay.
no, not real feet. But I mean, it's like I'm just
But yeah, it is
trying to
true.
express like where we are heading with LinkedIn. It's more and more becoming, like I always say, it's the Instagram for adults at the end, and like sometimes we are moving away from the business side on LinkedIn.
Yeah, true.
And this is like what I think for this target group, it's definitely not the right content they would like to consume.
I remember, by the way, stupid comment on the side, but that the white collar is because of the shirt, right? That the shirt is white,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
you go to work with your white shirt and you
In
see
the
the white
office,
collar.
exactly.
The
exactly.
blue, I think, what it is,
It's like a construction
it's
worker.
the construction
Exactly.
thing. Okay.
Exactly.
And the gray?
And the gray is also, but more. They have like you have the blue and the gray one, and the blue is more in let's say like at BMW in the production. Then you have the electricians are more like in a gray one and so on. But this
Okay.
I think like it makes no sense at all. But I think it's like a way in HR how to like differentiate the different job types.
And you go B2B, B2B to almost
Exactly.
actually B2C to B.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have many questions to ask you. I don't know if
Yeah.
I should start. I'll start from the first one that comes to my head, and
Yeah,
then you
sure.
tell me if it's the right one.
Yeah.
But why starting with a B2C to B while you could be like, I found this problem of workers. I see that there's a huge gap for companies because you saw it yourself. But the gap, you as a user, I guess you all also, especially in Germany and in other countries like UK, even in Spain too, and France, you also have this gap of gray, I think, workers. That is like, I don't have a plumber, an electric guy who fixed my house, etc. Did you also find that gap and were like, I'm not covering right now because I need to focus on B2B? Why at the start? Why did you were like, okay, just for this B2B, we're not going to go to B2B2C yet, to B2C2C?
Exactly, because I mean, at the end, if I understand your question right, so we were not trying to provide like construction workers to private households, because then you are matching companies and not the private person. So we really want to like help the one who are directly employed in a company to find a better job that moves them forward. So if I would like match private households with construction workers, then it's like I'm matching a company to someone who needs to get a service completed, and this is something what is not our vision and mission, what we try to solve. So we really try to like help out the people who are directly employed to find a job, a better one, in order to progress their career, and this is what we are trying to solve.
Is this? Do you think that this situation it is due to a shortage in the number of people in the country, or the number of why do you have this opportunity to do this increase, 10x increase for the?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is, first of all, we have a demographic change. I think this is what you always see in the newspaper. So if you look in the blue and gray color sector, you're going to see that until 2030, I think a majority will retire. So we have a really big problem there. The second point is like when companies are targeting them, like job portal are like for people who are actively looking for a job.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that we are talking about labor who are having a job and there is no need for them. So companies always forget that you have to trigger them at a different point in the journey. So when they are sitting at home at the couch and I don't know, surfing through TikTok, whatever it is, or any kind of platform, because you have to show them jobs which they are even not aware. So I think that's also a big difference, especially when I talk to mid-sized companies. They often forget that it's not anymore an employer market, it's an employee market, but the employees, almost all of them have a job. And there is no need for them to actively look on a job portal. And that's sometimes what the people forget. And this is where we are super good in, is like to get like the attention of blue and gray color workers. I think that's one of our superpowers. And on the other hand, what we also help the companies through our tech platform is also to really have the perfect match. Because if if you look at data, there are a couple of statistics out there that from all the applications you receive from a job portal, you just hire 2%. So which means like you spend a lot of time, like if you would think of sales leads, you would spend 98% of your time on leads which are not valid. So it's a time waste, money waste, and so on. And if you think of like, if you think of our platform, you don't get all the leads. So we have this kind of like quality gate, which is like checking, creating the digital CV. We have people talking to the applicants, and you just receive the ones which are fitting. For sure, it's a low number, but it's the one which are fitting and which you can hire. And then we have this hiring rate, which is then at 20% compared to 2%, which is an amazing increase.
Yeah. Let's phrase it, or let's put an example. So, because you mentioned many difficult steps already in the way to get to the delivery of the right people that will increase his job and the company will get a better fit. So let's put the case. What is the main customer, the type that you have as like the ones who buy the product?
So it's a medium-sized company, so starting from 300 employees and above, and enterprises.
300 above.
Yeah, okay. And enterprises. So these are like our main target group. And if you look at the industries, so we have a lot of customers in manufacturing, in the energy sector. We won also like from public cities, for bigger cities. I cannot name the cities, but we won, for example, also the tenders where we support even the city with construction workers and so on. So quite a difference, because if you look at like the whole population of Germany, you're going to see like the majority is in blue and gray color workers. So you have also high demand of or a high number of companies which have a high demand on blue and gray color workers. So our industry is quite different. But if you look right now at the economy, for sure, for example, before the whole, let's call it crisis, what we have, automotive was also super strong. Right now it went down a bit. Everyone knows it. So it's not anymore like the industry which we are targeting. But if you look at automotive, it's the production side is going down, but if you look at after service, like if I have a car and I have to do the service, they have a high demand and they are still doing pretty well. So we should always differ when someone says like automotive is bad. We shouldn't put like everything in
manufacturing.
It's manufacturing automotives which is doing bit not so good at the moment. But there are like other subcategories, and this is also how we train our salespeople, that when they read the newspapers, that they don't stop and say, okay, it's automotive, I don't call them. They have also to understand what the company is really doing. And
Got it. Okay, so we have this company of more than 300 employees, normally in these kind of sectors, and they're like, I need people to work in here. Right? I cannot find myself the right people to work in here. And they go like, okay, how do I, because what I'm trying to understand is what the industry that you're disrupting. So the regular or the previous model before Workerhero is that you have some HR department in these companies that will go out, will go to, I don't know, the platforms. I'm thinking of Monster in France is quite big. Indeed.
And so on.
Yeah, this kind of company, these kind of platforms that are already out there. They will try, they will filter, they will get a lot of applications. As you said, probably they have to discard 98% of them. And suddenly you appear. How do you appear in their radar, first of all?
So I think, how do we appear? It's outbound sales.
Outbound sales. Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, this is something what every startup entrepreneur should know. So you will just appear at the beginning if you pick up the phone and call customers. And this is like still our main channel and our best channel and our most
cold calls is the one who converts them all.
Wow. Yeah. So I think like everyone who thinks that they can sell a customer via email, I think it's not right. From my point of view, people have to pick up the phone and call them, and that's it. And then you are starting to talk to them. You're trying to identify a gap. And if you look at the classic German company in the mid-size enterprise sector, so they are still doing, as you described it, like this job portal focus. Why? They have nice HR systems, so everyone put a lot of money in HR system, doesn't matter, Workday, Personia, and so on, which are great tools. And then they have like the integrations to all the job portals, 150. and then the recruiter or HR manager is going to the HR platform. He's designing the job description, clicks one button, and push out the money. And then they receive the leads. They're still not hired, and he push again the button and again and again, and then they just can say, sorry, we pushed the button multiple times, but no one is there. And for white collar, they have more possibilities. So they have
white collar
LinkedIn, they have Sing, they can do active search and so on. And this kind of what we did, or the possibilities we have in a white collar, that's what we try to replicate in our platform for blue and gray color. Having a pool to target, integrating communities into our platform which you can target, enabling job promoters like a referral program where we add private persons which are coming to our platform and can refer people and earn money. Like all the things what we did in the last couple of years as a society to get white collar people and to target them exactly, that's what we have built in a tech platform for Workerhero.
Yeah, got it. So to get these contacts, I guess, is the HR responsible for and you get it from HubSpot?
So I mean, we have different ICPs. So we have a recruiter, we have a HR manager, we have a head of HR, we have C-level, we have CFO, everyone who is like related to the stuff. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, how we are doing, due to the fact that it's pretty. The nice thing is you can find like a lot of job description online already.
Yeah.
So to find the right person and the job, you can just type in electrician in Munich, and then you have a lead list with whom to call, because normally you're going to also find a lot of direct phone numbers of the recruiters because they are waiting.
Easy.
So that's also something what I really like about the industry compared, like, let's say, classic SaaS, where you have to find like the technical part, the CTO or any IT manager, which is not easy. Then you have to go through LinkedIn, buy a lead list, whatever it is. So it's quite complex. For us in the case, there is already like live data available which you can target.
Yeah, got it. Okay, the thing in your case is that you have two customer acquisitions. This that we talked about, that is actually the company who pays Workerhero service.
Exactly.
And then you have to target the workers that as you said, it's not that easy. They're already working. Probably they don't think that something like Workerhero exists because they're used to either the portals or the close inner circle that they have. How do you target them? And I want to understand a bit more.
For sure, we can like target them with a specific job. But what we also use a lot is the power of the platform, which is like, hey, come to the platform, create your profile, and stay up to date with all the jobs. So we provide them security. They can sell themselves. They have a digital profile, digital CV. They exactly understand and receive job offers all the time from different companies, so they can compare their salaries. Like everything what you do with LinkedIn without the social component, it's also within Workerhero. So, and that's the first time for this kind of target group that they feel appreciated, valued, and understand that, I'm currently having a really big value on the market.
Okay, let's go then 5 steps back. And first, just to give some data, more or less, how many companies do you have working now with Workerhero?
More than 250.
More than 250.
Yeah.
And workers registered?
I would say we have in total like 80,000.
80,000 already. In what countries?
Only Germany.
Only Germany?
Yeah.
Insane. Okay. So once you get here, that's why we're going to go 5 steps back. Everything could make sense. Yeah. Everything is easy. But when you're pitching, I'm imagining you solving or trying to solve this problem when you were working at Amazon, saying, man, this is obviously a problem. No one solved it. I need to do something about it. And pitching at the beginning and you getting rejected. By the way, you're in the frenzy of 2021, so probably you went rejected, not even one single time. But normally would be like, okay, but you need the workers, and the workers need the companies, and the companies need the workers. This is the chicken and egg. There's no way you do it. How do you do it in the pitch at the very beginning, and how do you manage to solve this problem at the beginning?
I mean, if you always have the chicken egg problem. So eBay, Amazon, everyone who,
especially in this kind of business.
Exactly. So I mean, if you look at the story of eBay, how did you do that? If you want to have enough jobs on your platform, or they did like a lot of crawling, So what we can do, and this is also what happened on job portals. It's not that every single job portal always has the customer on the platform. So you can crawl jobs, you can put them on the platform. You can grow first the customer base and route them then to specific jobs out there. For sure, you don't earn money, but this is how you can manage the chicken app by crawling data, for example.
Of course, makes sense.
This is also a process and pretty common on marketplaces, that you don't have always like the specific job on your platform.
Of course.
Then on the other side, what we also did when we started, we were like focusing on one specific user group. Back then in 2021, Corona pandemic. So the only thing what was working is like delivery associates. And it was super easy to get a high number of jobs due to the fact we worked with all the quick commerce. So you can imagine the numbers they had behind it. So I signed one customer and I had thousands of job opportunities because it was like just one job. So this is also how we solved it, by concentrating at the beginning on one specific job or single customers who are like giving me a high multiplication.
Yeah.
And this is also how you can solve the chicken egg problem on a marketplace, by having like a multiplicator and opening up a high number. For sure, it's the same job, but still like in multiple cities and so on, and high demands.
Yeah. Okay. Then you didn't have any problem, did you? Then to raise money at the beginning and share this.
I mean, for the beginning, it was not a problem, but I completed last year the round and saying like
we will get into that. We will get into that
Yeah.
because following so the audience can follow.
Yeah.
The thing is that then 2021, you have a very good summary. You identify the problem while working and you try to solve it. It makes sense. You crawl the jobs, therefore you can attract the workers to the platform, I guess, with very little money at the beginning. And then it makes sense. It makes sense. So many you may find VCs that would back you up.
Yeah.
The thing is, you have this peak in 2021 with what you said, and then this stops.
Exactly. So I mean,
what happened there?
So we I think in the first 6 months, and that was even 2022. So we closed out, like when we started the company, within the first 6 months, we almost generated $1 million revenue, which is in
6 months.
Yeah,
top quartile of
exactly. So for startups, and then the following year we were also strongly growing, and everyone was looking at it, even like with these like, man, it's insane. Like, how did you do that? And you have such a great execution. But we were also writing, and this is also something what I learned, and what I said at the beginning, when you focus too much on one specific industry, like we did it, and in Corona, there was no other industry available. It was quick commerce and so on. And then everyone knows what happened with quick commerce. I don't need to tell the story with all the big companies out there. Most of them doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So we lost overnight a high number of customers.
You say in percentage, what was the number of? Because I saw in the deck, I remember.
Yeah.
But like, can you just give the rough?
So we lost, I would say, it was 50% or 60% overnight, like with the big crash. And then you have like, you're facing, okay, now what I'm doing. So, and then you have to restructure, recover, and go through all this big pain.
Did you have to fire a lot of people too?
No, that was quite good, to be honest.
Okay.
So the layoffs was not so big, but we had to do it. And I mean, it was a really painful thing, for sure. But I think what we learned out of there is how powerful a team can be, and how powerful it can be if you stick together and go through the pain and don't give up. And I think this is like the biggest learning I had is like, as an entrepreneur, I think the hardest thing is to not give up. I think everyone who is an entrepreneur and like because you face the most time of your day, you face challenges which you have to overcome. And if it's like one day, sometimes you have the feeling, I even have the feeling is like, why the hell I'm doing this? Why I don't just be employed again and have my classic 9 to whatever time and don't have like the stress. But I think to be an entrepreneur is that you also can deal with it and also like go forward. And that's, I think, what we achieved. So we also changed our business model to even more ARR. Before that, we had also a high portion of transactional. And We grew from almost 0 ARR to a really strong million number ARR without saying it directly. And then we kicked off our funding round then in 2024 with the search at the beginning. That's where we met.
Yeah. Can you explain or try to convey how was the situation of the company when suddenly you're one of the most promising companies probably of the startups in Germany? Like, who's going to have more than 1 million revenue in 6 months? Very little people.
Yeah.
And then with the trend, with the market in 2021, 2022, that was roaring.
Yeah.
And then suddenly everything goes down. Also your company. And okay, how do you manage to say, okay, the decisions we took was wrong, we were too risky going on, like these kind of companies, we need to change the model, we need to... Is there any kind of mental trick to cope with that change? And
I mean, I'm going back to Amazon. What you learn at Amazon is like fail, but fail fast, learn fast out of it. And I think what was good is like, and what is for us, this was a proof that it works. So I mean, we didn't have a problem that our product is not, let's say there's no demand anymore. We had just a problem that we have now to switch the industry. And that was for everyone super clear is, hey, we have something which works really well. Let's just replicate it to the other industries and not anymore put so much focus on just one. So let's set up manufacturing, automotive, energy, retail, and so on, and spread our revenue across multiple industries, because in every crisis there are always winners. And if you focus too much on one industry, and that in a specific industry has a slowdown or is going down, then you have always a problem. Because and this is something what we did is like, hey, we have a great product, we have a great solution, so let's focus on the things which we are good on. It's sales, building top line. That's what we did. Pick up the phones and let's do it. And this was like the moment when we started, then everyone was calling. So I moved almost everything in the company to sales. Even product managers were doing sales in our company. Customer success manager, marketing manager, everyone was calling because everyone said like, okay, let's do it. We have to bring up top line. And this is how we solved the problem, moving like all the headcounts to sales for a couple months, building top line, and then again going up into the peak.
This, I think, is related to something you mentioned before, that is you try to replicate some of the culture at Amazon at your company. And I guess this is related. So let's start with a broad question and you take it the way you want. How do you build your HR culture then? How do you thought about it back in the day, and how do you actually then operate and build it to be able to tell the whole team, we are all sales now?
I mean, from our culture, because right now we're currently trying to understand what is our culture, because I mean, every startup starts always to say like, leadership principle, culture, and so on, which is important. But I think at the beginning you don't know what will be your culture. So sometimes it also evolves with the people, because if
it's a changing animal.
Exactly. Because if you're just the founders and you just look into the founders phase, I mean, what is our culture? We are friends, we know each other, so it's start to build. So, but I think right now what we have built up, and I think that's the most important part, is like this straightforward is like for us an important culture principle. And straightforward, you can use it in different ways. I mean, you can be straightforward in a discussion, which is like, let's not, you know what I mean, and just be.
You can talk freely in this podcast.
Let's not bullshitting. Let's not bullshitting. Like, let's be straightforward and talk about the problem and the situation. You can be straightforward to customers, like how do you want to support them, like slowly or straightforward to the point, because this is what a customer at the end wants. They want to help, support, straightforward to the point. And this is also like in how we have coped with the situation. I communicated straightforward, because telling the people there is hope if we don't do I think like telling the people, guys, just open up the newspapers, you see the names, you know our customers, so just do the math.
Yeah.
And then, hey, I understand if you say like, hey, that's for me too risky, totally get it. But if it's not, I would be more than happy. Let's pick up the phone and let's move the ship into the right direction. And I think this is something how we did it and how we always do with problems. For example, also like we have every 2 weeks our all hands meeting with the whole company. So
every 2 weeks.
Yeah, we are now more than 60 people.
Nice.
So, and we present like every 2 weeks, straightforward in your face, the financial numbers of the company. So everyone knows how much, what is the top line, what is the churn, what is the burn, and so on, what is the run rate, because then everyone knows where we are at the company. Because I've seen a lot of startups or even like bigger startup scale-ups, which are done out of the sudden there is a big layoff and no one was prepared and no one was aware of it. And I think I get the point why, don't get me wrong, but I think it's better if you push the people and be straightforward and honest, because sometimes this also enables superpowers within the team, because everyone, if they like the job and if they like the environment and if they like the company, everyone wants to keep it and will do their best in order to secure it.
And not like how many people leave the first time when you said, we have these, we're going to do sales. I guess you would have people who left.
Yeah, to be honest, no one. That was
how many people were you there?
I think we were around about 40.
40?
Yeah, 35, 40.
And no one left?
Yeah, no one left. We had just layoffs. That's something where we had to decide and take the hard decision. But no one really left the company, because I think we are still in the size where I would call it family. So it's fun. We have a lot of fun. I think there is no differentiation between the positions and so on. So if you come to the office, you will think like it's like a friends group working on that. And I think that's great. I know everyone is saying I have a great culture, but I would say really like due to the fact that I also like integrated a lot of friends of mine into the company, which is also not common, and a lot of people.
I was going to say it seems super risky.
Yeah, super risky for sure. But to be honest, from my point of view, it was super nice. So, because for sure you always have to watch out that there is like a bit of like processes and that people understand the difference between business and friendship, and for sure it can go wrong. Yeah. But for us, I don't know, it enabled a fun environment.
Wow.
Because I think the group was already like a cool group, and if you like put them in a company and add more people, and everyone is open-minded and likes to meet new people, then something great is happening, and this is also something which makes us unique, I would say.
Were you the one doing the hirings, or do you have someone hired for that? Or
So back then when we started, for sure we were. Now we have a really great HR leader, Nadine, who has a couple positions open for everyone who hears that. Good. So reach out to Nadine, and she's doing a great job.
When did she join?
She just joined last year in October.
That was the first HR people you hired?
Yeah, no, we had before that as well, Svenja. But Svenja was like the hybrid machine. She was doing HR, she was doing CS, she was doing the applicant side. So when you grow, sometimes you have this kind of hybrid positions where if you have to look at cash and so on and so forth, you cannot like place for every department a position. But now we have now set up the organization in the right way in order to be able also to focus on HR and do really great things in HR, development plans, development processes, real hiring process. Like before that, we're doing hiring how they knew it, and now we have a real hiring process.
At the same time, so far it works super well with this chaotic
process. Sure. But I think that's startup life, and that's also something what I really try always to be straightforward in the hiring process, that when people are joining us, they shouldn't expect that you have like this kind of super nice corporate processes, or maybe they're even not nice, but they are there. So where you can go like left and right, but there is like a rule already in a corporate. In a startup, it's like you just jump in, and then every day is different, and you cannot expect that everyone is giving you any kind of process and so on. So, I mean, startup people have to design things, and I think that's the nice thing about being in a startup. So there is not a rule. It's like you can do whatever you want and try out things and create things, and I think that's the nice part around it.
Yeah, the more I interview, funny enough, the more I get interested in the HR topics, and the less I get interested in something that was super interested for me before. There's sales, product, technology, which of course it is super interesting, but it's like, maybe if I'm thinking about LLMs, I want to go to the core of the LLM. I want to try to understand like the PhDs and but if I go to a company, it's like, okay, whatever technology, whatever the product, but like who's delivering the results and how do you get to manage this team together? So even this soft KPI that I didn't hear it before from you, because it's you normally don't ask about it. It's like, no, well, 40 people remained, even we told them we fucked. We lost our main 50% of our clients. And well, you got to do sales as well. And people stay there. Dude, that's something like, that's a super soft indicator that it's super interesting of potential success of a company.
Definitely. And I think this is also something like we really try to continue. For sure, the bigger you get, the more you have to take a look at the culture and the values and so on, because more people, and then it's not easy. And it's also for me as a founder surprising. I was always listening to podcasts or books and so on. Everyone was saying like from 20 to 50, from 50 to 100, and from 100 to 200, this big change. I always thought like, having 50 or 80, it sounds so small, but it's really a difference. So, and this is always surprisingly for me, like how important like organization and HR topic, as you said, like always look at sales and technology and so on. But you can have the greatest technology, but if you don't have nice people and good salespeople and nice culture, you will not grow and you will not have a success.
That's it.
I always thought like, every VCs, when you talk to them or investors, they talk a lot about HR and the organization. I thought at the beginning like, man, come on, the product is nice and so on. But now I understand why. And it's really about the team. The most important success factor for me is the team, definitely.
And did you have fixed, or do you even have now, fixed rules about, I cannot have more than 7 direct reports, I cannot have more than X amount of time, blah, blah, blah?
No, so far not, but we really try to have like 1 to 10. So because right now it's
more than 6, 7 is already, I guess.
Yeah, but 1 to 10, especially in sales, you cannot build too much like team leads and so on to it. But I would say on average we have like 1 to 4, 1 to 5. So, but in sales, which is our biggest organization, sales, customer success, SDRs, and so on, we have so 1 to 8, 1 to 10.
Which is a pain as well, because if you keep growing and you wanted to do something super hierarchical, how do you? I think Amazon does it pretty well in that sense. But it's like, okay, how do I build my company if I don't want it to be super hierarchical, but I don't want my people to be dealing with HR topics instead of doing sales or customer success? So
I mean, from what you have is, if I remember correctly, you have this kind of like pizza teams, where they also had it like, hey, the team is always just so big that you can like bring a big pizza and everyone is fine. And this is also like how we try a bit to replicate. We don't call it like that, but I think like each team should have a size where you can go. We always say where you can go to a standard restaurant and don't have to book a big table in order to be able like to communicate, exchange, and so on. But from a hierarchy perspective, also like what was also my biggest learning is, and as an entrepreneur, you always start like to hire people and give them like titles, CFO, CSO, always C-level, VP, and so on. But what I didn't do back then when we started also in this kind of behavior, you don't think about like what will be in 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. If I already now hire a CSO, is that the right stage from my point of view? When you start pretty soon, no, it's not. Because if you're gonna become a scale-up and pretty successful company, you will have one day to hire someone with more experience, more knowledge, to bring you to the next level. And if you have already like a structure which is like top down, C-level, VP, and so on, where do you put the people?
Yeah.
The new ones, and what do you do with the other ones? Do you take it away? Is that fair?
Yeah.
No. And I think from my point of view, what it was also a big learning from organization and HR top is like, hey, let's start to build organization bottom up and not top down from the structure. Like if I'm a seed startup, why do I need a CSO? No, I need a hands-on mentality. I need someone who is executing. I need someone who can create processes and so on. And I don't need like a CSO who is even more strategic and so on. No, I need people like hands-on driven.
Yeah.
And then we started with team lead, head of, and so on. And now we are still not there, but now we are coming more and more up to the level where we hire also C-level. And this is something what I see like in the startup area is that you immediately hire with super high titles, which is maybe to get the people, but from my point of view, it's then at the end the wrong expectation or of the person what they will be in the end in the customer, because you cannot say like if you're just 4 or 3 salesperson, you have now a CSO. This will continue till the end. And you see it even like in bigger scale-ups, big startups, that there is a big change between who was at the beginning CSO and what is the title of the person afterwards when the company is big. And you always see like it's more a downgrade, which is, I think, from a feeling perspective, from outside, I would say that's not nice.
Who were the founders at the beginning? Because it's going to relate to what you were saying. Who were the founders at the beginning?
So it's still Emmanuel, Steven, and Michael.
And you
and we never had the C-level namings. We were always like sales, marketing, IT.
But you're a CEO, kind of.
Yeah, so one has to be the leader. So this is also like a super important, like when you go out for fundraising and so on, you have to have one C-level. But we never like had this organigram with CMO, CSO, CTO, and so on, maybe at the beginning, but we changed it because what we figured out, hey, we have to have the right person with the right head in the organization. And we also, I think what makes us unique is also that we always say like, hey, being a founder doesn't give you the right to be a C-level. I think this is also a super important topic when we challenge each other every year. Are we still the right person to make this company big? But that's an important question. And this is also like an important part what we learned after we had also external trainers and so on. What is a founder immediately a C-level or a manager?
Yeah.
So is a stakeholder, because as a founder, at the end, you're a stakeholder of the company. For sure, you started and then you have to be the leader and so on. But when the company progresses and you come to like points where, and I also don't know what will be in a couple of years. When imagine we are a super big company. If I'm still the right one to do it, you never know it because you have to learn and see along the way. Am I still capable to learn the new things pretty fast, to deliver results, to manage such a big burden, and so on and so forth? And this is something what really helps me is like that founder doesn't always mean that you have to be in the C-level.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just think or tend to think, I don't know if I read about it, I think I cannot mention any specific article, but normally the founding team, and we're not talking about CTOs or technical people because that's a bit different, but normally the CEO in your case, he will deliver better the vision, the power, the push to the company. Because of course you can say now, imagine that you said you're now in 60 full-time employees more or less. Imagine that in 2-3 years you're 300. And suddenly someone can challenge you and say, Richard, you've never been in charge of 300 people. In Amazon, I don't know how you were, but you're clearly not the right fit for the job. Let's bring some guy who was in charge of 600 and then we scale the company. We'll be like, no, no, I took the company here. I know, and I have clear vision how to grow. And you would be on your right. And I think it is. So how would you cope with?
As I said, I think as long as you still feel confident, that's what I mean, like to ask this question, am I still capable to do it?
And so subjective.
Yeah, I know. But, you have to still ask yourself, am I capable also like to learn the new stuff, like coping with 300 people? It doesn't mean because I never did it that I cannot. But I think you have always to challenge and reflect yourself and check the current situation. Is this current setup still the right one in order to make a big success of the company? Because it can also be, we don't need to change some of the form, but we can say, hey, maybe we need a right hand with a lot of experience who is guiding the person. You know, this is like, but without asking yourself the questions, you just run and then you figure it out along the way. And I think it's a super powerful tool to ask yourself as a founder group, hey, are we still capable to do it? And if not, do we need support functions? Do we need to hire someone? And so on and so forth in order to deliver great success. And I think this is a super, super powerful mechanism, what we learned also through a couple of trainings, to ask yourself this question. Because a lot of founders then don't ask the question. And then you see also like, I forget the number of the statistic, how many founder teams are breaking away or like a lot of changes, because then you have the frustration. And where is the frustration coming from? I mean, the biggest reason is like, I do more than the other one and I get pissed, let's say it that way, and then the arguing starting and so on. But if you ask the questions, then the things are coming up, you know, like in the round. Are we capable to do it? I think we have that challenge, this channel. I think there is a potential to development, because every founder is always talking about development of the employees, and like, you are here and you have to go there and this is what you have to do and to improve. But what about the founders? Who is challenging them? Like, you are here, this is the gap. Maybe the VC in a board meeting, but
that is not the same.
Not really, because more it's going about the company, and this is where the company, this is where we want to be, and this is the gap you have to close. But no one will gonna say and have a deep one-on-one development discussions with you as a founder. And that's something what I was super used at Amazon, and what they're really doing great is like developing the people. So I think one of the biggest superpower is, and they have even the principle, hire and develop the best. And that's exactly what they were doing. And this is something what I missed as a founder, is like this hire and develop the best within the founding group. And I think through having this kind of discussions starting off, then you exactly see the gaps and how you can close it and develop it.
And to be able to do this, do you measure it with a North Star or with some kind of KPIs? Because, as I asked before, like, it is too broad or too subjective to say, yes, I'm capable. It's like, look, we grew from here to here. We had this problem and the 40 people remained 0% of our people. Like, do you have a North Star to measure these kind of things? Or?
So, I mean, it depends on who you're talking to, but we can look at classic sales figures, like top line, churn, and so on and so forth. We can look at, if you think of like team management, like what is the turnover rate, what is the net promoter score of
you
your
do
team.
have NPS surveys.
So we did that, and this is, I think, also an important part, that not doing NPS to customers, but also within your company. What we also learned that we have to start it, and these are like the metrics which we can use in order to figure out, hey, do we have any kind of issue without just saying, are you capable? And he says yes, and then everyone is fine. We ask it, no. But I think still the question enables like a powerful discussions.
Of course. That's completely. I have a friend who works in this from he's a founder too, so from the theoretical and also practical side. And it's not his framework. He got it from someone, from a professor at university in US. I forgot his name. But the thing is that he called it liquid equity. And basically that means that all the founding team and even some employees that have rights on the stocks of the company, they will have some liquid equity, which will drive crazy the VCs, but it will be like, in terms of how much you bring to the company, you will get less or more equity almost per week.
Okay.
So when you were saying that some get pissed, this happens obviously every day in every company. They have a liquid equity spreadsheet dynamic that will change according to what you bring to the table.
Oh, that's crazy.
But it's insane to imagine the implications of managing this. But it's a concept that I love. I got to bring him here to explain it in detail, just about that, because it's super interesting.
Yeah, it's
How he
nice.
managed. He's a freak of control also, so
Yeah.
like to be fair and to do the things the best way possible. But
Yeah, but I mean, I think like if you look at US companies, like everyone is like giving a high number of share stocks to the customers.
Yep.
And it's always based on what you bring to the customer. So every year they have the evaluation, not like in classic mid-sized Germany where you have to wait, I don't know, for every salary increase 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I don't say it's always the case, but it's pretty the average compared to US companies where you have almost every year a salary increase, and then also like this kind of discussions, hey, how much share stocks do you get? And this is also like something what founders should use with the VSOPs or ESOPs, or you want to call it, in order to also drive performance.
Yeah.
Because for sure you can say it's not always the money and so on. Yes, but it's a kind of like appreciation tool.
Of course.
With on top of it. So
very direct.
Yeah, it is straightforward. So I mean, you can say you're a great worker, but if you just always use words, then the people will not be happy because they have also private life and wishes and costs they have to cover and so on. And
the rest of the market will give them more than words. Probably.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the point where I think it's super important that you have also like this kind of evaluations.
Got it. I want to go back to the company and the product more and the history. So I think we've been very briefed on that. We took a little time for that, but I think it's clear what you built, how you passed this phase, this little valley. You came back, you raised up from your ashes, which I'm happy. and now you're here, 250 companies, 80,000 workers registered. And I wanted to discuss a little bit about the future and the present moment. But what I saw is, and what I think is super interesting Workerhero is because this shortage in gray and blue collar workers. And if I'm not mistaken, you had this option to allow or to even foster people from other countries to come, in this case, to Germany to work. And you managed to find a way to do this. Can you explain a little bit more how this works for you?
So this is already what we are also already doing. So out of country sourcing, we call it the feature. I mean, if you look at the data of the supply in Germany, it will go more and more and more down in the next years. And less is coming up because most of the people are still studying in Germany. I mean, I think from my point of view, it's a hard word, but it's a fault of the society.
Yeah.
Because I can remember also when I was at school and so on, everyone was telling me starting from school till my parents, like, if you don't study, you screw up.
Yeah.
So please study. And I think this is what we have in a society. Everyone is pushing their kids to the studies because they think they will not earn money. But if you look now in the case, like an electrician earns more than someone from university. So which is like not the case anymore. So and this is also like the point where we need to recover as societies, also like to not tell the word, to spread the word, which is like don't do like blue and gray color just because it can also be great and you can be super successful. So if you have now an electrician's company, I think you earn hundreds of thousands and millions in revenue and having an electrician company. For sure, it's not a deep tech startup, fancy, but you have a really nice running, profitable, I think that's also important, profitable company. So, and this is like the case why we also want to focus on sourcing from abroad, like for sure European countries, but also non-European countries. Like if you look at the population, if you look at India, the demographic population, it looks completely different. They have more young people than older people. The same also in Brazil. The same also like in Eastern country like Serbia, Kosovo, and so on. So which means like this gives us a super nice market where we can get supply, and they have nice education. They have they're from a cultural standpoint not so far away to Europe, which makes it also easy. Don't get me wrong on that point, but it makes it much easier for the person to be happy because if you have,
it's fair.
It's fair. If you have complete different culture, then it's not always easy to get integrated and to feel well. So it's not that I want to say it's a bad culture or something like that, but it's not easy to integrate. If I would also move somewhere abroad where the culture is completely different, I would also feel it challenging.
It's always a change.
Yeah.
Like even from I lived in Spain, now I live in Germany. The culture difference is
for sure.
I can feel it.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But imagine if you go then to I don't know, to China. Well, then it would be huge, and the language and the way you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why what we try to cope into our product is like when you talk to companies in Germany, it doesn't matter which size, even big enterprises, and we talk about international recruiting, every HR department and so on, gonna say like, I don't know how to do that. I even don't know the laws. I don't know how to source the people.
Yes.
I have even like a big, I talked to a big company within the last mile delivery, which everyone knows, doesn't matter which. And I received the answer is like, sorry, we cannot hire from abroad because all our documents are in German. Where I said like,
very German answer.
Yeah, but so like I was said like, guys, you are one of the biggest company in that sector. Just use ChatGPT and translate it.
Yes, it's so ridiculous.
Sorry, ChatGPT, we don't have it still. And so but this is like the German enterprise
I know
sector. This is the reality of innovation and change process and change management. And this is why we thought like, hey, if already like this company size as problem, let's talk about smaller customers. They have exactly the same problem. And this is where we said like, okay, dear customer, we build a product. Now we already have our test customers live, and even like not only any more test customers, couple customers live, where we do like, hey, we source for you from abroad. We do the pre-qualification for you. You just do the interview, the final steps, the hiring, and then we connect you through our platform with other partners which are doing relocation service, housing, then health insurance registration, social registration, this whole relocation.
That's external to you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I mean, what we try to do, and sometimes when you have especially a marketplace, you really have to understand what is your superpower. And our superpower is the platform, the sourcing, the qualification, and so on. But I think there are great companies out there who are specialized in relocation, and building a product and relocation doesn't. But having a platform and have everything centralized, and the customer has a like nice experience from sourcing, relocation, and don't need to leave the platform. This is exactly what we offer. So
that's insane.
They can connect, and that's also fine for the customer. And I think this is also something just to also for the startup entrepreneur founder, always think of like what is like your key product, and if you want to enhance like with features or services, think of, does it make sense to build it, or does it make sense to just integrate a partner and then have a whatever revenue share, referral agreement, whatever it is? Because sometimes this is much more powerful than like I'm gonna build everything by myself.
It is always a huge dilemma in all companies of all sizes.
Exactly.
Do I do it or do I externalize it? I will tell you a secret. I wanted, or I even want, to build a platform like, that's why I asked you at the beginning, that delivers high quality technicians to B2C for all the household tasks, right? Because I feel it's so difficult, and also it's a huge shortage. And even if you are able to bring them from the outside and offer them jobs in a different location that has a different population pyramid, it's even better. But I just think that like not only the cultural difference, which is as well, but also, for example, this platform that I think it will work in the future, where you can do everything from your household, and you would say, I want a plumber, and then it would be like Uber, it's coming, it would take 3 days. It's called Andrew Josephine. It will come in 3 days. It will be this money, blah, blah, blah. You can even open your gate and watch with the camera what's going on, and he or she will leave, and you will get the money there. I think that's going to be a reality for B2C. But if we go to what you're doing now, And I can try to imagine these people that you're bringing to Germany to work for another company. What is the biggest challenge? You mentioned that you externalize many stuff, but what is the biggest challenge? Is it the language, the biggest challenge or the biggest barrier, or what is it?
I think from my point of view, there are 3 big pillars which we have to solve. I think one is like, as you said, it's gonna be there, but the acceptance or the willingness for a company to open up for out-of-country recruiting.
Wow.
It's super important because we still have kind of like, no, there must be enough here in Germany. So why should I invest time and money and building up an onboarding which is small? So like understanding the issues. I think everyone is talking about labor shortage, but really understanding it in depth. I think this is something important what every single company in Germany or Europe should do, because they should stop thinking that, hey, I got a job and this is the job and I think there must be someone.
Yeah.
No, you should analyze the market. You should analyze your location. You should figure out if you have a location in a village with 500 citizens and you are just sourcing people with, from 25 kilometers. So do the math, how many electricians or plumbers are there.
Yeah.
Not many.
Not that many.
Yeah.
No.
And if there are more than 10 companies like you, then you can do the math and figure out like what is the supply I can target is super low. So these are like things what I think needs to happen in Germany, that people open up and really like try to understand and open up to say like, okay, I need more supply, and either I source across whole Germany and help people to relocate, or I source across Europe, or I source internationally. So I think that's the first step, that recruiters, HR managers, and companies challenge themselves and open up to that topic. I think the other part is like the language part. But from my point of view,
the second pillar would be
language. But from my point of view, is like the language part can be solved in 2 ways. One is like companies are always saying like, oh, I cannot do it. My managers are, especially in the blue and gray colors, they are not really good in English, for example. So, and that's it. But from my point of view, the answer should be like, hey, what trainings do I need to provide to my leadership to enable
so they evolve to enable them to grow, like
exactly. So we always think of like the employee needs to learn German, but what is easier, to learn German or to train people to learn English?
The second.
For sure. Just look at the statistic. I mean, to learn German is one of the most difficult languages, so it's really hard to learn. I know it. So for example, I'm half Croatian, half German. So my mother is here for 30 years. So, and she still struggles to speak really good, perfect German.
Especially with the articles, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So why is there, die das? So you have to know it. You know the game. Yeah. But this is exactly why we don't invest in like our leadership in a blue and gray color like we do in white color. So I can tell you, like when I started at Amazon, my English was not so good. So what did they do? Here, go to an English training. I had every week for half a year an English class, for example.
Okay, but then, excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but I can imagine that if you have this company that you were mentioning, a 500 village, they are probably not making too much revenues, and you have this guy who's, I don't know, let's put, is my age, I don't mind, but and it would be like, look, I don't want to learn anything, I don't want to learn. And I speak German with everyone. Everyone in here speaks German.
I get it. But if you say like, hey, look, if we don't do anything, we will not have enough people which you can manage.
That is true.
50% of our people will retire in the next 3 years. So I don't think that we can even secure your job if we don't open up new supply. And to say like, and I can give you numbers which is like going in 20, 30, 40, 50K or cost per hires, which is super, super high, where it would be like even worth to invest in a English class compared to that cost. So I think that's number one from training. But on the other hand, what we also tested at the Zukunft Personal, and I was surprised how good it is, are the instant translators. So I think we have to use technology, what we have on the market, especially in blue and gray car, when they do the installation and so on. I mean, they don't have like intensive conversation all the time. They have to describe them, hey, this is your work, this is your task, and do it, and then they can start doing that. It's not like that they have to sell on the phone and be perfect in the language.
And it's something they already know how to do properly.
Exactly. So, I mean, this kind of instant, we tested it. It's amazing how good it is.
Yeah.
We did it in Portuguese, in Croatian, in Spanish, and it's really good. And the time break between is not high. I think we tested a device from Amazon. It was €100, and it was great.
Yeah, yeah.
So
and it's gonna go to better and better and
better. So why don't we use this kind of technology and say, look, here my technician leader, I gave you this device, you can use it in order to solve the communication problems, and not like doing on the phone translation and so on. Just have it with you and communicate and give it to all my employees.
And I can imagine that it would be able,
Yeah.
it would be possible with even your phone. So you don't even advise, it's like
Yeah.
blah, 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 and even.
Yeah, exactly. I think we all have to open up to technology. And I always thought, like, when I tested this, like when I, like with delivery associates, you know, the situation, get a package, and then there's the language barrier. It would be so nice. I wouldn't say that it's weird if he open up and says, record it quickly and answer it, and then you solve the problem immediately, and everyone is easy with it. And I think to open up to technology, and especially in language, there's already a lot of happening. And I think now with AI and ChatGPT, I think it will go up pretty quickly. The language barrier will not be a problem pretty long.
When I arrived here, that's how I communicated with my landlord. When I arrived at the very beginning.
Yeah.
We usually go into later, he will get anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned two.
And the third and biggest one, from my point of view, and especially when you think of biggest city, and I would say maybe you also had the challenges, it's housing.
Housing, yes.
Where, I mean, housing, let's say we are now in Munich.
Yeah.
So finding a flat in Munich, it's hard.
Challenging.
But, or challenging. And let's now imagine you go to a landlord and say, hey, I'm currently relocating from wherever, and I have my job, and they will be, should I go with that? Maybe it's risky, or should I go with someone who already is not in a trial period, so it's not easy to find a job. And I think here we really need a big change. And what is happening, and what is great to see, for example, the bakery here, what's a Richard?
Yeah.
Exactly. I saw, like, I live nearby Theresienwiese. They have, like, building up a huge new building, which is like the factory.
Okay.
And like a showroom. And then next to the showroom, they have built up not hundreds, but a high number of flats for their workers, which is like already a proof for me that companies are starting to think of like, hey, I need to solve the housing point in order to be able to grow in the number of employees and to find the right people, even from abroad. And I think for sure not every company can do that, but I think, like, especially in the enterprises, they have to open up towards this topic. And I think also, like, from a political standpoint, when we talk about labor shortage, we always think of like, we reduce the law for immigration, and so that's nice, but no one talks about
where are they going to leave?
Yeah, where? So, so this is, I think, an important topic for the politicians to solve, because I think the companies itself cannot solve it, because you have to create flats.
Yeah, and also beware not creating ghettos.
Exactly.
Because if you don't do it properly, which, by the way, Germany did. I always get almost laugh at me when I say this, but Germany, I think, is one of the countries in the world that managed to do best acquiring people from everywhere and building a great country. You go to any like doormat, like, and you see the surnames of the people, and you say half of them are not German. Really, Perez is clearly not German. You will see it, but still, even the second generation already, they will feel super German. They will be proud of being German.
Sure.
And this is something that doesn't happen. France didn't manage to do it that way, or at least it seems to me that they didn't manage to do it that way. Germany,
because I think we always saying the integration is not good, but I think we did a great job in integration.
I think so too.
For sure that you can do always better, but Germany, I think they did a really great job.
We'll see from now onwards. So we'll see.
For sure. But I still believe that we're gonna manage that.
Yeah.
Let's just a situation we have to cope with.
I think it's
And then
it's a need.
frustration
It's a need.
we have to cope with.
Yeah, yeah. So the three key pillars for you that is
Yeah,
not allowing this to happen: acceptance,
yeah,
language, and housing.
yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I completely agree. I know you have a meeting in 4 minutes. I just wanted to ask you, if you have to envision the company in the future, would you dare to give a number? I try to always ask something similar about the number of clients, the number of employees registered in the platform in 3-5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Would you dare to give a number and then come back here to defend it?
So for sure, I mean, if I would think of 5 years, I really hope that we have, or I see us now hope, because I try to envision it and say it's gonna happen. I think it's important instead of having hope. It's like that we have cracked the 100 million ARR. So for sure, it's a big goal, but this is something where we stand up, and if we crack the 100 million ARR, then you can do the math how many people you need. But this is like what we would like to achieve. So this is like this magic number, I know, for a lot of startups, and we are also trying to push ourselves with this magic number.
It should be a unicorn valuation.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something where I would like to reach. But at the end, if it's not that number, like, because I always try to have like my big goal and like where is the range, I'm also fine if this becomes a really nice and profitable mid-sized German company.
Will your investors be happy with it?
I think he's also, because I think this kind of VC game, I hope this also is with Wayra, it changed a bit, isn't it? Like after burning a lot of money during Corona pandemic, I think people are becoming more and more realistic and try also to invest in health companies, or even like companies which have a clear tag to become healthy and profitable. And that's what I saw also like in the discussions last year when I was pitching to, I would say, almost 300 VCs. So it was different compared to before. Yeah. And almost everyone was talking a lot about profitability.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But then how do they get the exit? Because this is the second question. Normally they say profitability and then I need to get out at some point.
Yeah, exactly. But I think for our case, it's also like the exits are quite nice from a target. You can, because for some startups, you always struggle, who could it buy it? Mm-hmm. For sure, IPO and so on. Yeah. Okay, but like the step before, who could acquire it? Mm-hmm. I think it's the more realistic step than like going IPO, let's be honest, when looking of numbers. But I think you have a lot of companies which really like our case. Like you have this classic publishers who are seeking new innovations. Mm-hmm. So this is an important. And if you look in Germany, you have, or Europe, you have a high number of publishers with a lot of money. So classic old publisher families. Then you have like this kind of big job portals, which are also, if you see in the last years, they're buying a lot of innovations and adding new features because they see in the numbers like the job portal itself needs a change or will go down more and more and more. Yeah. And the next step is like acquiring. So this is also something. Then you have even like what is happening in the market, strategic companies which are like having a big demand on blue and gray color workers, and like even like going deep into the shareholder in order to secure the demand for themselves. Yeah, it's also an interesting part on our side. So you see, it's quite different compared to other companies where you need to figure out firstly who could be a potential buyer for that. Yeah, and that's what I really like about our case.
And just to finish, to go back to the number you said. Would you manage to get to 100 million ARR just in Germany? Because I guess then you ambition to be maybe in other countries, or?
I think the German market is huge.
Okay, so it's feasible. In your estimations, it's like, we'll stay in Germany.
Yeah, so no, it's not the vision, but we want to definitely go across Europe at least. But I think if you look at the German market, and if you look at the revenues, what job portals are doing, it's insane. So it's really, really crazy, the market, and the revenue size is huge. And you just need to check the revenues of Indeed, Stepstone, and so on across Europe. It's crazy. So if you secure the portions out of it, I think it's definitely enough there to grow the company to that revenue.
And you said you have now 80,000 workers. How many would you need to get to this 100 million ARR more or less? Do you have that number?
So, I mean, to be honest, though, I don't have the number, but what we really try is like, hey, we want to get like similar like LinkedIn is saying that they have all the professionals.
Mm-hmm.
We also want to have the slogan to say we have almost every blue and gray collar worker in Germany or Europe on our platform, because this is what is driving our success. So for sure, we have B2Bs and we try to make them happy, and they are the ones who are paying for it. But what we always say, if you have the worker on your side and you have the community, then every single company gonna knock to your door and say, please, can I access? And this is what is driving us, how we build our product, how we try to think of is, let's get the applicants. Doesn't matter what the B2B is at the end saying, because this is the star of the show. This is the asset or the power of our product itself.
Totally.
For sure, we have the technology and so on, but the power itself is the data base with the workers, and the rest is like and the service around it and the technology. And
once you've built the momentum, as you did, it's way easier, I guess, to get 10,000 when you have 80,000 than when you have 5,000.
Exactly, and your margin is improving, because every startup knows.
That's the case of the VC.
Yeah, exactly, and every startup knows how much money you burn at the beginning to Facebook, to Meta, and so on and so forth. So you see the VC money is going from VC to startup, from startup to Meta again, which is funny to see, because you have to invest a lot. And this is like the case. What we are building is like then to reduce more and more the paid part, which takes time for sure. But then once you reduce it, you have a really nice margin.
Yeah, of course.
And this is exactly the case.
Of course. That's why, again, just to emphasize this is the kind of companies that you invest from a VC, because this has this scalability that is not the same in a restaurant, for example, that you need to buy restaurants and stuff. Richard.
But, we don't have the AI button on us, so like every VC is going crazy to AI, which is always the way what you see.
That's why it's fun, but you will be able to, I'm sure you will be able to deliver then whatever that's necessary with AI.
Yeah, like, for sure. That's
someone needs to do the delivery.
Yeah, exactly. So, but right now, if you look at the investments, volumes going in HR or marketplaces or AI, I think like VCs are always sometimes going with the wipe and the trend.
It's always the FOMO case. But you secure the Series A, by the way, that we didn't properly said. I think you secured Series A. How much was the funding? I forgot.
4.5.
It was 4.5 million secured. So like, congratulations for that. I think that will give you a little bit of runway.
Yeah, definitely.
So is there anything else that you want to say that I forgot to ask you about or that I mentioned?
I think, first of all, thank you. So it was quite nice, and I was surprised how fast the time
Me too. I was like, oh, he has the meeting. Damn it, we didn't. No.
So from that point of view, it was great seeing you again. And I think it's always great talking to you. And I recommend this to every single phone. It was quite nice.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Richard. Hope to see you around.
Yeah. Bye.
Ciao.